At his Tulsa rally, Donald Trump didn't speak for very long about coronavirus, but he did just long enough to fit in a little racist joke about it, referring to COVID-19 as Kung Flu, which we had heard months ago aides of his were using around the White House. Now, he apparently did it. He was asked, Kayleigh McEnany, I should say, was asked about this. Here is how she responded.
Last July, President Trump declared himself the least racist person there is anywhere in the world. Why does he use racist phrases like the Kung Flu?
The president doesn't. What the president does do is point to the fact that the origin of the virus is China. It's a fair thing to point out.
Okay, so when I said that she was responding to him doing it, I should be clear, she just denied that he did it. But we're going to talk about this, and for us to do that, we need to acknowledge that, no, he did actually do it.
If you could have seen outside, or if you could have heard the reports, oh, it's COVID, it's this, they've got, by the way, it's a disease, without question, has more names than any disease in history. I can name Kung Flu, I can name 19 different versions of names.
Okay, that's not what the 19 refers to in it, but just to be clear, he did it, and we let the video play so that you knew that the fans of his just loved him using that term, and they laughed uproariously.
Yeah, it's racist. I mean,
that's all it is.
I don't know. I mean, nothing's surprising anymore.
Mm-hmm.
And no one on the right will care. No one in power on the right or in a position to kind of check him will do anything about it. Nobody on the right media will do anything about it. And then the media outside of like places like this show will kind of just like gloss over it and maybe just like a both sides type of thing and have, people from the right on to defend him when it's pretty objective. Like, it's pretty clear what he's trying to do.
Mm-hmm.
He's not just saying this because it's like it makes sense. He's doing it to, like we saw, draw a laugh. And that laugh isn't just because it's like, comical. It's because it's rooted in racism and xenophobia. Mm-hmm. So time and time again, he's done this and no one really seems to care. And then coupled with, the story we just talked about, white supremacists embedded in the military, it's just terrifying what this trend is showing, what this trend line is reflecting. We're going to see more instances of racist attacks on Asian Americans. This is kind of scary. This is going to continue because this thing isn't going away as much as the right wants it to disappear. This is going to be with us for a while. And as they continue to hammer this point that is like some xenophobic point, that the way that manifests in real life is xenophobic attacks on Asian Americans.
100%. It's just a racist joke. That's all it is. And he knows that that's what they want. That's why, like, he says he can name 19. That's the one name he had, was the most racist version. So he went into that rally being comfortable knowing two things. One, my white fans are the type that will love racist jokes. Just make a joke about Asian culture, and they'll think it's funny. And also, there probably won't be virtually any Asian people there. I don't need to worry about that. This is going to be a pretty white group. So, very comfortable there. And then they did laugh because they do like racist humor. That's all it is. And I understand, compared to many other things that he's doing, is this the most damaging thing? Perhaps not. There's other things involving coronavirus. The fact that he's literally doing almost nothing to stop its spread, that is worse. But Asian Americans have been harassed, they have been assaulted, they have been discriminated against based on the right's campaign against them to try to distract people from the reality of the virus and get them to just be mad at Asian Americans. That has been the actual strategy. And it involves a little interesting bit of mental flexibility on the part of his followers, that they have to simultaneously believe that this virus is a big hoax, the numbers are made up, and it's not a threat, but also it devastated us, and it's all China's fault that it did it. Like, whichever version of that they're currently holding in their head, Trump's off the hook, which is what makes it such a nice little ploy. But it is interesting that they're doing that. Now, I want to give you a little bit of the reporter's follow-up to Kayleigh's denial. She said he didn't say it when you just saw that he did say it And here was her follow-up question.
What are you saying by using the racist phrase Kung Flu?
He is linking it to its place of origin.
What does he have to say to Asian Americans who are deeply offended and worried that his use will lead to further attacks of discrimination?
So the president has said very clearly it's important that we totally protect our Asian community in the U.S. and all around the world.
Kayleigh, Kung Flu is extremely offensive to many people in the Asian American community. To be clear, are you saying the White House does not believe it is racist?
To be clear, I think the media is trying to play games with the terminology.
So the thing is, she was reading that response, so she knew she was going to be asked about this, and just has this canned response about, oh, no, don't target them or whatever. So she'll say that in the press conference, and then he'll go back on the trail, back on the rally trail, and he'll throw out racist jokes, demonizing Asian Americans. That's the strategy.
Yeah, and no one will do anything about it. I think that's the disheartening thing, because we all know, and it's why they have responses drafted. They know it's bad. They're just not going to do anything about it. It's really depressing, honestly, because like as the reporter laid out, like people are scared by this. They know attacks could come from this. It's going to be further discriminatory. What do you do? It's so depressing that this is what they're focusing on. This is what the president, this is what the White House, this is what the staff is focusing on right now. There's so many other issues. All they want to do is continue hammering China on some xenophobic crusade.
Yeah. And like, just to take you back a little bit more, because now the response is just, he didn't say it or whatever, just don't answer the question. But when it was going around that White House aides were using this term early on, here is what Kellyanne Conway had to say about the term Kung Flu.
But if they're, I'd like to know who they are. But hold on, you can't just say that and not name them. Tell us who it was. Come up here and tell us who it was. I'd like to know, because I'll go inside. Right now,
what is your message to those staffers?
No, I'd like to know.
Rather than having them, why
that's been alleged. No, Yamiche, excuse me.
So is that wrong if it happened?
I'm not dealing in hypotheticals. Of course it's wrong. But you can't just make an accusation and not tell us who it is. Who is it? Come and tell us.
It's wrong.
Yamiche. And that's highly offensive, so you should tell us all who it is.
Okay, so I will tell you, it was Trump. So it was wrong, it was highly offensive. And so when it was just alleged and it was staffers, then it was, well, I mean, that's so bad. Why wouldn't you just tell us? It's so unacceptable. It's weird that you're not telling us who it is. And now he does it on film. No, he didn't. He didn't do that. And if he did, whatever, he's just trying to draw attention to where China is. Like, the goalpost just slides so fast. And all of it, Kayleigh McEnany, Kellyanne Conway, they're not real people. They're just not. They're not there to give you their honest evaluation of literally anything. They are there to confuse and distract you while Trump and the GOP loots America. That's effectively it. As Jordan said, depressing. Check out the Damage Report podcast each day, wherever you get your podcasts, whether Pocket Casts or Stitcher or iTunes. You can join me as I give you the news and stories you want, with a range of co-hosts and interview guests jumping in on the fun each day. Again, that's the Damage Report, wherever you get your podcasts. And if you get them at iTunes, don't forget to rate and review. Sometimes I'll read them live on the show.